Up. We're on Facebook Live and YouTube streaming to you right now. We're doing something a little different today. Today's all about you guys. And I have a whole group of people here in my Zoom chat window. If you guys want, look for that link. Mr. Ben Burns is going to be sharing that via social media somewhere. I have a capacity of 100 people, I think, and after that you can't get into the room. And we're just going to have a conversation with the people online, and that's what we're going to do. But before we get to that, I just want to ask you guys a few questions that you guys that are tuning in live right now. Have you noticed the kind of content that we're producing, the frequency in which we're doing it, the variety in the content? And if you appreciate that, I just want to let you know how we're able to do this. First of all, it's not me. There's a lot of people around here. There's a lot of equipment that we use, a lot of people, a lot of talent that's making this possible. I want to just mention them really briefly. First off, there's Aaron Szekely. You sometimes see him. He was lit really darkly in one of the episodes when you got to see him. He's mostly lighting, producing, editing the content, and doing everything else that we need. He's kind of a gap filler. Whatever I need, he's able to do. And his background is actually in finance, I think, oddly enough. He went to school in finance, but he had a real passion for filmmaking, and that's how we got together. Next up is full-time editor Stuart Schuster. And you guys may not have seen him, but you hear his voice all the time because every other podcast is he and I, we're sitting in a room and we're having deeper conversations. I lost my feed. Thank you. In that we're having these deeper conversations on the podcast. He's editing all the podcasts now. He's editing a lot of the show content, like some of the medium and longer format stuff. All the episodes with Melinda Livesey, he edited that. And we just had our first full-time graphic designer join the team. Her name is Molly Drill, so you're gonna see a lot more content from us. And last but not least is Mr. Mark Contreras. He's over there adjusting the camera, I think, right now. He's editing, he's shooting, he's doing a lot of content with us. He's working part-time for us for right now. He's got another gig going on. And Mark is what are you, a computer science guy? Computer science, really smart guy, used to work at Google, but he also felt like he wanted to do more than analytics or selling ads for Google, okay? That's the entire team. I share that with you because a lot of people think this is our, what is it? Like our full-time thing. For some people it is. I manage another company and I'm able to do this, and we want to keep making more content for you guys. And I just want to send out a very sincere, heartfelt thank you to everybody that's purchased the product, that's tuned into our show, that's subscribed, that has commented, who's been engaging with us. You're the ones who make this all possible. Even if you have $0 to give to us, if you listen to the podcast and if you write a review for us or recommend it to somebody else or subscribe, that helps us tremendously because a lot of the advertisers that we're talking to, they want to see the numbers. And when the numbers get higher and higher, they are going to take us more seriously. So when we hit our 200,000 subscriber number at the end of the year, that's going to mean something to me. Those are still very small numbers for YouTube, but this is how we grow the channel. And for everybody else who's donated $5, $1, $2, $100, whatever, you guys are supporting this program, so I just want to say thank you, okay? And we've got some stuff to give away later on in the show, I think. We'll see how that plays out. But first, let's go to this awesome community that's online ready to talk to us. So let's go to Mr. Chris Green. Let me get your screen up here. Can we cut to his screen, guys? All right, hey, Chris, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. My first question was going to be, how do you make all this content? But you've answered that now. So my second question to you, Chris, is from books I've read recently, like Essentialism and the One Thing and that kind of thing. It talks about focusing on your strengths. What's your key strength as a creative and as someone running these platforms? And how do you increase that strength and cover where your weaknesses are?
Okay. I think my key strength is that I really like teaching. I like to share what I know, and if I got paid a ton of money to do it, all I would ever do in my life is sit around and teach and share with people what I know. And I don't do it purely from a selfless point of view. I learned a lot by teaching, because when a student comes back and asks me, how did you come up with that idea? Or how do you brainstorm around this thing? Or how do you get past a creative block? That's where I'm able to shine, because I sit there and I crawl into my mind and I start to think about, well, how did I come up with that? And it's those questions, those interactions that I get that actually make me think about my process and then to be able to share it openly. I think that's one of my strengths. The other thing is I love graphic design. I love filmmaking. And so if I look at my strengths and I combine them together, There's no coincidence why I'm doing this on YouTube. I love to teach, and there's a lot of equipment here, filmmaking tools that we're using, and I'm able to bring all those things together and share it openly, okay? Hey, how come we're not cutting to his screen? There we go, thank you. All right, you got another question?
So with the explosion of designers on YouTube, I've noticed a lot of people like yourself vlogging, putting content out. So there's obviously now a lot of younger designers learning from YouTube. Do you think online learning will replace classroom learning, or do you think there's always a place for classroom style learning for design?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I don't, oddly enough, even though we're called the future, I don't like to make bold predictions about what happens in the future. I want to have my finger on the pulse of what's happening. I like to embrace technology. I like to experiment and try different things. And the audience ultimately will tell me where it needs to be. My best guess right now, it will be a hybrid, okay? It'll be a lot of distance-based learning where you get the smartest people, the best producers to record content, and then that gets distributed so that you can watch it whenever you want. Let's say you're a night owl and in the morning your brain doesn't function as well, okay? So that it makes no sense for you to go to class at 10 a.m. because not much of it is going to penetrate your skull. And I get that. And so if we adopt a more hybrid model in terms of education, you can learn when you want, you can pause as many times as you want, you can rewatch, you can take notes, and so that also eliminates, I think, a strange thing. A professor comes into the classroom, there's lectures and notes and all these kinds of things, and you're trying to write instead of paying attention. I think the classroom time should be spent on engagement, asking questions, doing work together with your hands. So if we're able to optimize our classroom experience via video-based, distance-based learning, and then bring people together and see each other and kind of react to things, I think that's probably a really good model.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Okay.
And then my other, if I've still got time, my other question to you, Chris, is I've watched you become more and more of a leader in this place. I'm assuming you have less and less time actually designing and on the tools. How do you kind of feed your design side and creative side and make sure you're still active design-wise whilst learning as well and teaching?
Okay. I want to clarify some things. A lot of people have wondered how much actual hands-on work I get to do, and the answer is very little. And that's not just because I'm doing this whole Future podcast video thing. That's not because of that. I've done very little hands-on work since the beginning. I always saw myself as a person who was able to connect a problem with a solution, right? Sometimes the solution was me, oftentimes it's somebody else. I like to bring in the best designers that I can find and have them solve the problem for me. And I just guide and manage the process. So I don't miss doing the work at all. And if I want to do work, I have all the time in the world to do it. But I've built up an incredible team, executive producers, creative directors, digital strategy director, designers, art directors, this amazing team who you throw anything at, they're gonna be able to solve. And I like sitting back and saying, wow, I have the blessing and the great privilege of putting together such an amazing group of people that are genuinely people that I would like to hang out with that do such incredible things. And so that's the hands-on part, right? Now, how do I stay fresh? How do I stay relevant? All that kind of stuff. I was just recently reading an article about, I think it's called the five hour thing, where if you're a life learner, you should dedicate 1 hour every single day for the Monday through Friday to learn something, creating slack time for you to learn and for your brain to be creative. Now, let me explain that a little bit. First of all, I do describe myself as a life learner. I'm forever curious about things. I want to learn lots of things. So to me, an hour seems very low. 1 hour per day for 5 days, it's really low for me, okay? The other thing that I noticed too is that when I'm not thinking about a deadline, an issue going on at the office, I'm a lot more creative. If I'm on vacation, for example, with my wife and kids, I have two little boys. Anyways, when I'm on vacation with them, I find that after the initial, I'm on vacation mindset, and day 2 or 3, I'm writing and I'm more creative than I've ever been because it's that boredom that breeds the creativity. So if you're busy doing stuff all the time, when do you have time to learn? When do you create slack time for the creative, magical stuff to happen? And I think your brain waves, if it's not being pressured to come up with stuff all the time, it's able to open up. And you'll notice the content has been changing and we keep developing more content because essentially I try to keep 10, 12, 14 hours of slack time available to me every single day. I'm out there reading books. I'm engaging with people. I'm trying to answer questions. I'm looking for answers to questions, and that's what I'm doing. I hope that was that good enough for you, Chris?
Brilliant, fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much. And I don't know who's on deck for number 2. And
let's do Yunji.
Yunji, all right, Yunji, all right. Let me
the first question.
Excellent. Okay, Yunji, let me get you on spotlight here. Where are you, Yunji? Boom. Thanks for tuning in, Chris. And where is she? I can't see every single person here. Let's see page 2. Yunji, is your camera on? Where are you? Oh, there you are. You're like hiding there. There you are. Let me spotlight you. Beautiful. Okay, everybody else, make sure you're muted, except for Scott. If Scott wants to say something, he's the official moderator of this group, or unofficial. Okay, boom. Yunji, what kind of questions do you have for me? You look very official with a notepad and everything. You're scaring me.
Oh, notepad? Well, I'm just like pen and a pencil.
Okay, fire away.
Okay. So I'm currently stuck with this client. I'm in the creation stage where.
Hold on. Before you talk, you got to turn off your speaker. Somebody, I can hear feedback.
Yeah.
What kind of questions?
It was you guys?
No.
Okay.
The notepad and hearing me.
Oh, no.
See, you guys hear that?
It's gone.
Okay, Aaron's telling me I don't trust my ears. Okay, for whatever reason, guys, everybody else put yourself on mute. Yunji, you're on headset, so I trust you. Let's go.
Okay, so currently I'm in the creation stage, and I have presented a few logo ideations to my client, and I believe that 1 or 2 was a good one for the brief that we created together, but he picked the one that I thought it didn't work the best.
Okay.
And I told him about it, like that when we shrink it down, because it was really detailed, and I said, when we shrink it down, it doesn't work. And he was like backing up, saying like, I'm gonna print this in the car, and like and hats and t-shirts, so it doesn't have to be small. But I told him it's you will use this logo.
All right, let's get to the question.
So, okay, so how can I convince my client to pick a better logo design?
Okay.
Or should I?
All right.
Yeah.
You know, I have a trigger word, and the word convince is like one of them. So I will just calm myself down, take a deep breath here, okay? Why did you show them a logo that you don't like?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Why would you do that? My preference is to show them only one logo, and it's a logo I love, okay? And so what you can do is, you know who Michael Beirut is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So go Google Michael Beirut on YouTube. Watch a few of the videos and where he's presenting to the Google team. Not work for Google, but for the MIT Media Lab or something like that. And go watch that. Look at how he takes a client through the entire creation process to arrive at a logical conclusion. Okay, your thought process should change. Now, whether you're self-taught or you went to school, this may or may not be a different idea. In school, we were taught to like generate as many ideas as possible, and then how we arrive at the final conclusion is a series of weird emotion and feelings that are guiding us through the process. Sometimes it's based on aesthetic, like, wow, that looks really good. Or maybe we happened upon an idea and we put 2 things together and it's like, wow, that's pretty brilliant. But it didn't come from a very narrow brief in terms of like, this is the target, and you're gonna have to be very precise and surgical at hitting that. When you start with a very clear brief and objective, oftentimes this is something that the client gives you, and smaller clients won't give it to you. They need help in putting this together. Once you define what that is, take them through an iterative stage so that by the time you reach the conclusion of the logo, it's an obvious answer, because that's what we all talked about, okay? So here's the metaphor I've used many times before. I want you to think about this. Instead of looking at it as like, the first time that they're gonna see their logo is in the big presentation, the ta-da moment, I want you to think of it as peeling back layers of an onion. Whenever we talk to the client, they have things that they wanna make, right? They have an objective, whatever it is that they're trying to do, okay? And what you wanna do is translate those raw feelings and thoughts into words. We wanna make everything a little bit more concrete. So you translate those feelings. So as a facilitator, I'm saying to them, describe to me the tone and voice of your brand. Describe to me the look and the feel, and I listen, and it's like when they give words, and we brainstorm together and we work on that. And then we have a bunch of words. Then we say, which three of these words resonates the most to you? And then which one is the most accurate in terms of describing who you are as a company? And you guide them through that process, okay? Go ahead, ask your question.
But, okay, so he was really open. He's like, I actually asked those questions. He's like, you know what, I'm very open to whatever you come up with. I trust your creativity. And he was very he just threw me.
You don't know? You know what went wrong, so you know what to do next time. Okay? Okay, so there's no power. We lost power on the iPad. So should I disconnect it? It's not going to work, right? Guys, if you're tuning in, sorry, our feed was dropped, but we're back, I think. Mark is telling me we're back up.
Back on YouTube or double checking Facebook.
Okay, I'm just going to assume we're good to go. And